Paid taxes my whole life. Hey guys, how you doing? Just going to work a bit on my Praetor today. I don't know if you're able to see this. So he's almost done, really. I've got a few Forge World heads that I'm going to paint up today. I've got one that's going in this guy, and then two more for my sergeants. So I've got 12 Saturnine Terminators altogether, which was an absolute nightmare to build. But really happy how it turned out so far, and first time doing these bases as well. Just going to sort out the focus on this. So I can get rid of that terrible autofocus. How's that looking? Is that looking better? Okay, there we go. That's much better. So yeah, I've been working on this guy, doing a Imperial Fist kind of Saturnine army. I think this guy's looking pretty good at the moment. I've still got to do the little lighting effects on his chest and things like I have with this guy. So he's got a couple of little glowing doodads and things. But this was the first kind of test of the squad that I did, and then I went straight on to the Praetor. So as you can see, I actually went a bit brighter with my highlights than the original tests, because once I put the Starship Filth wash over the top, it actually knocked back the black a little bit too much. So it looks a bit brighter on stream, to be fair. But yeah, I really love this this black recipe. I think it looks fantastic, and you have no idea how long it took me to get the yellow on the on the pauldrons right. It was an absolute nightmare, and I went through many different variations. Hey, Window Pane. Yeah, so anyone that's wondering what I used for the pauldrons to get this this colour here, it was actually black prime, zenithal of white, and then I used this ink from below. This ink is amazing. I actually got this Meta's Miniatures uses this ink for his Mechanicum army, and I picked it up, and oh my god, it's amazing. It's so vibrant. So it went on a lot more vibrant than this, but obviously the oils and things knock it back, but it's still got this really nice orange tint to it. And then the yellow I used was Liquitex Yellow Orange Azo, whatever Azo is, but I had this kicking about for some time and I've never used it, so I thought I'd give it a try. It's got this kind of like reddy tone to it. So very nice one to use. But yeah, the only thing left for this guy is just to finish his little kind of gemstones. I want to make those pop a little bit more. The little light fixings, and then it's just a few little bits of detail, really. There's not much else that needs to be done. Thank you, Wind of Pain. I really appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying them, mate. I've had a lot of fun making them, and everyone's been so lovely so far. So it's been really nice to see. So yeah, I appreciate it a lot. Thanks for the support. And this is the first time I'm streaming, so thank you for tuning in. Let me know if the audio is okay or it's too quiet or the focus isn't good, please, because it took me a lifetime to set it up, but I don't know how it actually sounds. So if it's too loud, please let me know and I'll dial it back a bit. So yeah, I've got these heads, and I've kind of started doing this guy yesterday, but I think I'm going to repaint him. I'm going to try something a bit different, and then I've got these other two masked heads as well, which are going in my other Praetors. Sorry, my other Saturnines. So these are what I'm going to work on today, because I'd quite like to try and get this guy finished. I did do another head already for this guy, but I actually just hated the way it looked once it was in there, and I removed it. So I thought I'd go for these masked faces. The problem with the Saturnine is it's so big that only certain faces, I feel, actually suit being put in the armor, because otherwise it just kind of looks a bit silly, a bit caricaturish, and the head looks too small. So anyway, I'm just going to these guys a go today and see what happens. I'm going to be using a couple of different skin tones and things today to do these, so I'm just going to base with a bit of black red, beige red from AK, and I'm going to give it a zenithal of white, a little bit of a sunny skin tone blast from above just to highlight up the highest points, and then some Guilliman flesh contrast sprayed from below through my airbrush to establish some shadows, and then I'm going to give it a quick wash with some magentas and blues oils before I finally attempt to do some eyes. So let's see how that goes today. Whether my eye game is going to be strong enough, we shall see. So yeah, just gonna give these guys a quick little prime to get going, and then we'll try and paint some ridiculously small heads. Just gonna refresh my wet palette as well. It's looking a bit sorry for itself. Oh, that's good to hear. Thanks for letting me know. There is a bit of a delay as well between your comment and I think me talking, just so you know. So it seems to be, about 30 seconds or so. But it's good to know that it sounds okay. What are you working on at the moment? Be good to. I wish I could see. So yeah, I'm just going to prime these bases. I have these are resin heads, and I have given them a bit of a wash because just to get rid of that resin release stuff that's stuck all over them. Otherwise, the paint doesn't tend to stick. But I'm just going 50-50 with the black red and the beige red, just to start with a nice dark skin tone. Also managed to get oil paint all over me all the time, and I have no idea where it comes from. I just seem to have oil paint all over my hobby desk most of the time, so ends up all over my fingers and over my clothes, and my fiance is constantly telling me to buy a schmock or something to paint in because I just make a mess of myself. Which is quite funny because I have no idea where it comes from most of the time. It's looking a little bit bright, too bright to start off with, so I'm just going to add a bit more black red. Just darken this skin tone down a little bit. That's looking much better. Imperial Fists and Night Lords. Yeah, I'm the same. I normally have at least 3 projects on the go. Just to, I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but when it comes to painting Warhammer, my goodness, I seem to float between projects, and I'll see something cool and I'll want to go give it a try, and I never get anything finished. So I'm determined to get 3,000 points worth of army done in the next couple of months with this Imperial Fist force. So before I move on to anything else, but I have got some Jade Warriors sitting behind me, which I'm super excited to paint. I've got just 2 squads of 10, which I'm going to do white armor with purple and magenta accents. I think that's going to be really cool. And then I've got my Raptor army in the cupboard, which I am also slowly working on. And I finished this Dorado mech a couple of days ago as well, which I think turned out pretty cool. But yeah, pretty happy with how he's looking. And there's that Praetor that I did that video for as well. A few people were asking me how I did the cloak, and it was literally just I just masked off the rest of the marine and gave it a zenithal of almost black, and then mixed in skin tones into the grey until I got this kind of soft transition. Very, very simple. And then I simply got one of the vehicle eagles and stuck it over the top. I did do some little cuts in the eagle just to try and give the impression it was folded underneath the creases and folds that were already on there. But yeah, I think it reads pretty good. I like the way it looks. So yeah, so I'm kind of I'm in the same boat. I'm trying to work on a few things at once. Oh, you're a new painter. How long have you been painting for? I'd say I was fairly new as well. I think I was the same as everyone. I was super into Warhammer like back in 2nd, 3rd edition, more or less, when I was a lot younger, and then since then I got back into it during COVID, and I've become a bit of an addict ever since. But I think most people are in the same boat. The Raptors look excellent. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I really like them. I do prefer painting more realistic, um, realistic armies, and I do prefer Horus Heresy simply for the scale. I like the slightly smaller stature of all the miniatures, and the bigger squads. I just like seeing lots of bodies in my army. I just think it's cool. As someone that grew up playing strategy games like Total War and my goodness, you can hear got cockatoos outside going nuts, so sorry about them. Just giving these heads a zenithal up to a nice bright white. Just to catch the front of the face and the cheeks and things. Yeah, they're looking pretty good at like that. I don't know if you can see those guys all too well, but now I'm just going to hit them with some sunny skin tone from above, a bit of thinner, nice and thin, and just highlight up the tops of their heads. Been making an effort to try and put down coats of paint a little bit more saturated recently, because I like to use oils, so I always have to bear in mind that when I use oils the colors tend to get knocked back, so I try and go a little bit brighter with everything now, just in anticipation for that to happen. This is a very bright skin tone, that's okay. Quite like a bit of yellow in here as well, because it's going to go with the armor a little bit more. Looking pretty good. Just switch the chat over to live chat. I don't know if that makes any difference in terms of the speed in which comments come through, so I can read them in more real time, but let's see. I'm just going to put a bit of Gulliman flesh in my airbrush now, without any thinner, just pure. Just shoot that from below to introduce some shadows. Oh, 2 years. Yeah, great. What's been your favorite project to work on since you started? You're painting in the kitchen. Yeah, good. My airbrush has a little clog, so I'm just gonna sort that out. Saying that I prefer Horus Heresy, though, I'm definitely going to be painting some orcs next month. My goodness, I can't wait for that box for the orcs. I think they look fantastic. Yeah, Ironjaw's yellow contrast is a great yellow. The Citadel contrast paints, to be honest, are pretty good in my opinion. Okay, let's see if I've cleared this blockage. Downsides of having an airbrush. Yeah, nice. Are you doing Horus Heresy or are you doing 40k for your Imperial Fists? Yeah, the orc sculpts look amazing. It's that big mech that I am excited about. Oh my God, that thing looks crazy good. Yeah, I use predominantly AK paints. Um, I really like how AK paints look and feel. I like the finish on them as well. They're fairly matte, which I like. Okay, let's try that again. Are you in Australia? Winterstein? Whereabouts are you located? Yeah, I'm in Australia. I'm in Sydney. Don't let the British accent fool you, because I've been here for 11 years now. Oh, you're in Canada. Amazing. I went to Canada for about 8 years ago. I stayed in Toronto with a Canadian buddy from school. It was fantastic. Had 1 week of just blistering sunshine, and the other week was like the most insane thunderstorm I've ever witnessed in my life. Um, yeah, crazy. But yeah, stayed there for a couple of weeks. It was lovely. For the oils, I'm not going to varnish them. I'm just going to use a bit of midnight blue and magenta just to bring in a bit of warmth to the skin, and blend everything together. But we'll see how this actually works out in reality. As I said, I'm just kind of experimenting today with some skin tones. So already looks like it might be a little bit too blue. I think we have to add some more magenta to the mix. Yeah, I do have an Aussie twang. That's absolutely right. My parents love to remind me of that when I call them back home and make fun of me. My fiance is Australian, and I've been with her for 5 years, but her father is English and her mother's Australian, so there's still a bit more of the old motherland in the genetics, I guess. But yeah, I've definitely picked up a twang. Which is funny because the majority of people I interact with are actually expats, so or from other places in Europe. But yeah, I think I've just got one of those, I don't know, personalities where I just pick up the accent quite quickly. It's the little inflection at the end of everything. We go up, which is quite funny. But all right, let's have a look at what these all look like. As I said, I'm not gonna gloss varnish. I'm just going to play around with these oils until I think they look good. Have a little pot of clean mineral spirits off to one side just to rinse my brush off on, so I can come back in and make any adjustments. So you went to Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne's cool. I like Melbourne a lot. The problem is with Melbourne for me is that it reminds me a little bit too much of the UK. Um, it's got that same vibe, in my opinion, which is funny. But yeah, lots of people I know they prefer Melbourne to Sydney, but yeah, not for me. I love the beaches personally, and Melbourne is it's it's only 8, 10 hours south, but the weather is a lot like the UK as well. So yeah, definitely Sydney for me. Though it is significantly more expensive to live in Sydney, um, I believe anyway. But yeah, I actually really like how this oil is making these guys look. I'm just gonna let these heads dry for a minute, but it's giving some nice saturation and warmth to the skin now. And I'm glad I went a little bit brighter with that sunny skin tone because it's kind of muted it down a little bit now, which is good. Yeah, I know. There's so many Aussie slang. Took me a while. They just they abbreviate everything, um, and yeah, the slang is pretty good. But I mean, I just yeah, I'm not. Aussies love their slang, but I don't really use much. I like to try and keep the language alive and speak as good English as I possibly can. Okay. Yeah, not looking half bad. I'm probably going to add another little layer of oil because I want it just a little bit more saturated, and that's probably do just around the kind of temple areas. Just where the brow is. Just try and feather that out a little bit. Yeah, Melbourne is very European. Um, yeah, I have no intention to return home, so the idea of living somewhere that feels like home does not appeal to me at all. Um, I don't know, a bit Berlin is an amazing city. I've been to Berlin like 5 times. Um, what a cool place. It's a great city if you're young. I'm not so sure about when you're sneaking up on 40, but I had a lot of time a lot of fun in Berlin. Yeah, color theory. It's funny. It's only probably in the last 6 months that I've really lent into it. So I do like to play a lot with color theory now and boost saturation. Um, I think I went through a period of time just thinking, yeah, colors on them will look good. It doesn't really matter as long as they're bright. But now I try and if I'm painting with red, I try and incorporate some purples or some greens. I'm doing yellows, I'll use some greens or some purples or some blues. So um, like now I'm using magenta tones and blues with the oil, but I've got a very yellowy skin tone with some red shadow. So yeah, they always all kind of bounce off each other, and it builds up all these lovely like tonal variations that I really like. I'm gonna make the backs of these heads a little bit more saturated with the magenta because they're going to be in shadow with the armor anyway. But yeah, color theory's real, man. Don't believe the haters. Yeah, I really enjoy painting in this way now. It's a lot of fun. I actually think I'm going to let a bit of the oil dry on the forehead, and I'm going to come in with a makeup sponge and remove some excess. So I'll let it just do its thing for a minute, I think. And the temptation to not use the hairdryer is very strong right now because I'm impatient, but I don't want to blow this oil out of the recesses that I'm working on. So I will be patient. I also don't want to flood the eyes completely either. These guys are starting to look pretty cool. I don't know if you can see them all too well on the stream, but Really liking how these are looking. Yeah, I'm just gonna boost saturation towards the backs of the heads. Just because I think it's cool. A lot of the way I paint is not necessarily because it makes sense, but because it looks cool. And in my opinion, if it looks cool, then you're winning. I also wanted these heads to look a little bit like, I guess, a little bit sunburnt, like they've been trudging in outside in the sun for some time because the bases are quite like the scorch kind of masonry uh, in this kind of desert environment. So I wanted the heads to look like they fit in with that environment as well. So I didn't want them to be overly pale. I wanted them to definitely have a bit of burnt tones because obviously bald heads in the sunshine. I'm not sure how they felt about sunscreen in the 30th millennium, but I don't think it would have been something they were too fond of. Yeah, no, you need to experiment. Experiment with lots of different things. I love magentas. For me, magenta is my favorite. You know, I've got a couple of different ones. I've got magenta, laser magenta that I use a lot. You got, for I've got the fluorescent magenta, which is fantastic as well. But I love purples, magentas. It's probably my favorite colors to paint with. I'll grab a model that I did a little, probably about a year ago now. I'll be back in a second. Hey, good morning, Millie. Yes, rule of cool is the only way. This was a guy I did. Oh my goodness, how long ago? Maybe got 2 years, perhaps. Um, but I was very proud of him when I did him. I was really proud of the sword. It was the first time I'd kind of done that molten fire sword, and I loved the cape as well, which was an absolute nightmare to paint. But I was really happy with that because it was the first time I'd really done cloth. But this rich light purple, I love, and again, just the magenta tones in the purple. Magenta for me is just the god of all colors. Um, it's an amazing base coat. It looks amazing just as a highlight. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun, a lot of fun to paint with. Yeah, not sure if these heads look sun-kissed or sun-baked at the moment, to be honest. But I'm hoping they're going to look okay once I'm through with them. And I'm just going to dip my sponge. These are amazing. Get them on Amazon. Much better than Q-tips, and they don't leave that fluff everywhere. I'm just going to try and take a little bit off the the brow now and soften that transition. I think these guys are looking pretty good. Yeah, completely agree. Purple and magentas for under shading. Doesn't matter what color you're doing. It just adds such depth. Um, an interesting fact is purple is just the absence of green, so it like really plays a trick on your brain. Um, do your own research, but I think purple as a color doesn't actually exist on the spectrum. It's just the brain's interpretation of what something that isn't green looks like, which I think is just very, very funny and very strange. But maybe that's the reason it's such a cool color. I have no idea because it lives in this kind of paradoxical world of colors. But yeah, the absence of green is purple, but purple doesn't exist, or something like that. But interesting. Fact of the day. Fact of the day on Dom's Hobby Hangout. There we go. That's what we're going to start. um, well, I'm going to black out these masks just so I can get a better understanding of how the skin's looking. Because at the moment it's a little hard to tell. So just going to spend a minute just getting these masks and things blacked out. Thanks, Wind of Pain. Appreciate the support, mate. And greetings again from Australia. I hope you have a beautiful day. I don't know if you're going to sleep or getting to work. I don't know what stage you're actually at. But yeah, have a great day, and I'll catch up with you soon. All the best, mate. Always find until I've blacked out the other surfaces, it's hard for my eyes to really adjust on the colors of things. Maybe that's an old person problem. Maybe it's just because I'm getting old. Who knows? But it definitely helps my brain focus on colors when I've got something stark to contrast it against. Just trying not to go over this skin that I've spent the last 40 minutes trying to get right, because that really would be a disaster. Yeah, Millie, I do plan to do streams more regularly now. It took a little bit of time for me to get set up. I'm on um, a not very amazing webcam, which is the HD 1080p. So I hope the quality. I mean, I'm painting tiny heads at the moment, so I appreciate that you may not be able to see accurately what's going on. If they are blurry on stream, just trust me, they look really good. Not biased at all. But no, they're coming out all right. But yes, I will be doing more streams. I've had so much support in the last couple of weeks since I started pumping some concept back into the channel. It's been pretty incredible to see actually, and everyone's been really lovely and supportive, which is what I've come to expect from this community. But yes, I don't know if I'll be doing a schedule as such just yet, because I am actually I'm the general manager and licensee of a hospitality venue. So as you can imagine, I'm a bit all over the place with my time. And if the team needs me, then I'm there. So it's very hard for me to plan ahead. That being said, if it gets to a point where I can schedule streams and people are, interested enough to come and hang out with me for an hour or two, then yes, absolutely. But I'll definitely be doing putting these videos on the YouTube channel as well for people to catch up with, if they don't have a chance to tune in live. I'm also based in Australia, which is quite difficult for some people in terms of the time difference. It doesn't necessarily work out to be the best time of day. The quality looks okay. Yeah, great. Thank you. Yes, the transitions are the benefits of having an airbrush, I would say. I mean, for bigger models, this camera seems to do okay, I think, but for the smaller stuff, it's probably pretty difficult to see what's going on. But these heads have been sat on my desk for the last couple of days, and I said to myself, if I don't do them today, I'm never going to do them, because I am a procrastinator, believe it or not. So I needed to carve out the time to get them done before I lose my mind. Yes, I am now loving how this skin looks, ahead of trying to paint in some eyeballs. But this looks really good. Yeah, hospitality management is demanding, but you know what? I absolutely love it. And I actually worked as a mortgage broker for 2 years, and after 16 years of working in hospitality, 18 years of working in hospitality, sorry. So I've moved out to Australia in 2015, but prior to that, I was working as a hospitality manager in London. It is demanding, but having that break and doing something different for 2 years and coming back, I actually realize now that despite the chaos, the late finishes, long weeks, long days, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I love the kinetic energy of it all, and the controlled chaos. But it's a lot of fun. And also, hospitality is one of those industries where I honestly think the world would be a better place if everyone worked in hospo for some time, because it teaches you so many life skills. You learn sales, you learn people skills, conflict resolution. There's nothing that hospitality really doesn't teach you. So trust me, when I have a kid, I'm going to be strongly advising that they go get a restaurant job for a little while to get some people skills, if the robots haven't taken over by then, I guess. Yeah, that's right. Life is too short. Um, that's my compressor. How are these looking, Millie? Wonder if I can get a slightly better focus on this camera, perhaps. So look, can we focus this better? Let's see. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? I think that's better now, that focus now. And now I've done the black, I actually feel like I want to do even more magenta. So I'm really gonna boost this up, I think. Towards the back, because you can never have too much magenta. Yeah, I'm also enjoying using oils without varnishing, um, because it just, the way that the oil reacts on the paint is it kind of absorbs and makes these lovely transitions. Um, so I think it looks very cool. But yeah, liking how this is looking at the moment. I might just give the other guys here a little bit more of this while I'm at it. I will come in with a makeup sponge again once these are dried a little bit, just to buff out the tops of the heads again, just so there's not too much. But as the mineral spirits dry, they do tend to like not flood so much. So okay. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, Millie, I'm using magenta and just a little bit of blue. I'm just using Midnight Blue from Aptalon 502, but I don't think it would particularly matter what blue you use. It's just to bring in some deeper kind of skin tones and things into the mix. I'm just going to take a bit of mineral spirit on a little sponge here. I'm just going to buff the backs of these heads now, just to make that transition a little bit. And I'm literally just kind of tippy tapping the sponge to the top of the head, just to, I don't want to wipe it completely off, but just to buff the majority of that away. I dip it in a bit of mineral spirit, so you can see the this side's had the spirit, but I don't soak it. So on my finger here, for example, I'm not sure if you can see, it's fairly like dry. It's not got a lot on there. So if the problem is, because it's like a sponge, as soon as you press it to the miniature, if there's too much oil on it, sorry, mineral spirits on it, it just floods off and soaks into all the recesses. So even if I've dipped it a bit too much, I'll just pat it off with a bit of paper towel, and that way it's good to go. yeah, not too much. Where are you based, Millie? Are you in Australia or are you somewhere else in the world? Always find it interesting to know where people are tuning in from. This is where I try not to completely ruin my hard work now. Just gonna establish a little bit of definition using some pure sunny skin tone just on the brows and forehead. Oh, Germany. That's amazing. Whereabouts in Germany? I was just saying to Wind of Pain. I went to Berlin 5 times. I was with a I was with a German girl for 4 years when I was a bit younger, and her family were in Berlin, so we used to go there to holiday from the UK. But Berlin was such a great city. I'm just highlighting the front of this face up a little bit just to give it an extra pop, but I'm using an almost completely unloaded brush because I'm terrified of putting this on too thick and destroying the hard work I've done. Yeah, I never got to Frankfurt. Um, looks the German cities are just so beautiful, I think. Um, cool places. I'd love to get back out to Germany. I'm at the stage of this paint job now where I feel one false move and I'm going to completely ruin the hard work I've done so far. How's that looking? Yeah, I might go back to Germany at some point. I'd like to go and visit again. It's a very cool place. I don't know how soon I'll be able to do that, but yeah, that would be great to come back. Just kind of stippling the top of my the top of the forehead here now, just to give a bit of skin texture, but also just to establish a kind of a brightest highlight. Yeah, Millie, magenta is the way. And I just use this very like basic Winsor and Newton magenta. It's my go-to. There's lots of different types. They're all the same really. Once you mix them with mineral spirit, but this is the one I use. It's like not too pricey, not too cheap, I guess. It's kind of in the middle, but I mean, oil paints, they all do the same thing. If I'm completely honest, you don't have to buy like um, miniature specific ones like this. I'm loving, this is my favorite color at the moment. This is from AK. turquoise lights, and this is my go-to, like verdigris, and the color is just phenomenal. I love it. It's like this deep ocean blue green. What a great color. I go through stages of having like favorites of things. Okay, I might try and paint some eyeballs. Yeah, Winsor & Newton is just like a really popular brand, I guess. Pretty widely available. I don't know what it's like in the UK, in Europe, but I'd imagine you'd probably be able to pick it up somewhere. Okay. And this is where I try and paint eyeballs without completely ruining the hard work. Oh, the first one's looking pretty good, Millie. Can't quite believe that went that well on the first time. I am cheating though, so but I actually have to take off my glasses to use these, and so I have to suffer with a bit of poor eyesight for a minute while I try and do this, which isn't the most ideal. Ideal was an eye pun. And not looking too bad. Yeah, I think I only use these when I'm actually doing eyes, because I cannot for the life of me see them without wearing these. Have no idea what I'm doing if I don't put these things on. I'm just going to try and brighten them up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I think I've messed the right one up a little bit. It's gone a little bit big, so I am going to just bring in a tiny little thin layer of my base tone just to try and fix that mistake. That's looking better. Okay. Now I've done that, I'm going to come back in with another bit of white and try and just re-establish that eye again in the right way. Oh, that's better. Let's see if I can do the same on the other side. It is good enough. As long as it's good enough. There's no one's going to be looking at this model from 6 inches away. I think it's good. I think we can leave it there. Now I am gonna come in with this dark sea blue. So I'm just gonna do some pupils inside the previous the previous white dots. I'm gonna have to switch over to my other glasses. Okay, let me try and entertain you while I do this. It's pretty good. Let's try and do the other side. Thing is, without my glasses, I'm so blind, I can't even tell if I've done a good job or not. It is looking okay. They're more or less straight. Yeah, well, I hope no one looks too close at these eyeballs, because from here they read really well, but up close, I'm not quite convinced. But they are good enough, and when we're army painting, good enough is all we want to achieve with those eyes there. So okay, I'm gonna do something risky. Faust the Marmarine Stare. Yeah, he looks like he's seen some things, huh? Um, I'm gonna use some radiant flesh. Look, there's oil paint everywhere. I don't know where it comes from. But anyway, so this radiant flesh is almost like the sunny skin tone, but it's like it's got ice yellow mixed into it. So you could probably get the same from mixing this with ice yellow. But again, we'll go from the pot. But I'm going to mix a little bit of my previous sunny skin tone in with the radiant flesh first, just so it's not a huge difference, because I don't want to jump up too quickly. But at the same time, I'd just like to boost the brow and the forehead just slightly. Hmm. I'm my own worst critic most of the time. just glazing in my my base mix. Okay, I think I'm going to apply a little bit of silver to the mask now. Oh, that's a good question. I normally just use water or my own saliva if I'm in between brush strokes and I don't have time to rinse my brush properly. As disgusting as that is, Millie. Um, I'm sorry to tell you, but that is my go-to method. Um, but yeah, I prefer water. Now, if it's a particularly hot day here in Australia, I will use just some Lamium medium in there as well. I'll put a blob of this on my wet palette and just have it off to one side that I can mix in with the water and the glaze, just to increase the drying time. Um, Obviously, in Frankfurt, sunny Frankfurt, you're probably not going to have the same problem. Although I know there's a bit of a hot weather in Europe at the moment, but that's the only time I ever really use a sort of medium as such. I'm not sure I want this whole mask to be silver or not. Let's have a look. I think I do. Yeah, that's true. You can have the pigment split, but I think the most important thing is like I'll show you my palette, for example, here at the moment. Oh, without getting my water everywhere. But I've got very, very thin glazes here right now. It's almost predominantly water. Um, so there's hardly any pigment in there. But the pigment will always end where you remove the brush. So it doesn't necessarily matter, in my opinion, how much water you've got in there. It's more to do with making sure that when you're applying it, that you're ending your brush stroke where you want the majority of that pigment to actually sit. As long as there's still some color in the glaze, then you'll still get the color on the model. But I mean that's just personal preference for me. I mean I try and yeah, I try not to mess around with too many other things unless I really have to. Keep it simple. One less thing to buy. Yeah, this is true. Older paints were a bit of the problem. I mean, I've got so many old paints just sat in tubs in my study, and I mean, half of them are probably dead, to be honest. I've had them for so many years and never used them. But yeah, you do. It depends how you keep the paints, I guess. I try and keep them out of the sun in a cool space. Otherwise, they cook and dry out, and then you get problems with them mixing properly and all sorts. So I think I used to get that mainly with Citadel paints, though I don't really get it with the AK ones. Maybe it was just Games Workshop trying to sell you more paint, I guess. I'm not sure. Okay, pretty happy with how that is looking at the moment. It's when you stare at something for so long, you just can't tell whether it's good anymore, you know? I'm running into that problem now. But I am going to shade the metallics slightly. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of amethyst blue, which is an amazing purple blue, and a bit of black, just to give a bit of kind of patinaed, oily steel look. Yeah, I haven't used many pro acryls. I've got a pro acryl red. It's the only pro acryl color that I own. Um, and I only bought that for like eye lenses and things because it's a really vibrant red. But yeah, I haven't actually used much pro acryl at all. I'm just applying this as a bit of a wash, really, but not too thick. Just to dull down that metal a little bit. It's looking better. Yeah, these are some of the Forge World heads. It's actually the head that I'm trying to do for my prayer tour at the moment. Um, so he's almost done, but I do need to paint in the little kind of lenses and things that I've done on this one. But I've got 12 of these guys, which, by the way, is a nightmare to assemble. These models are the worst. Um, so I'm working on them at the moment. And then to make things more difficult for myself, I've got two of these, which are just kind of primed at the moment. So yeah, and they're going to be my heavy transports for my Saturnine Terminators. Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping to get them done in the next couple of weeks, because I do tend to procrastinate if I don't set myself deadlines. So I am going to try and aim to get it all finished. The scheme is pretty simple. I'm just using the black armor recipe that I did for my that I used for my Raven Guard. So it's not a particularly complicated scheme. It's just the details. And I've spent probably a lot longer on this face than I would have liked, to be honest. But he looks okay, I guess. I think everyone's the same in this hobby. I think, you get bombarded with so many people doing so many cool things, that you want to just drop tools and do something different. But I've got a squad of 20 Jade Warriors that I've also got sat behind me that I really want to get done at some point. Looking forward to painting those guys. But yeah, I think everyone's in the same boat really. That's why I'm trying to be a good boy and not start any other projects until I've got this one done. Um, and I did this prayer tour first because I wanted to do the coolest model first, because otherwise I'd run out of steam um, before I finished him. So, but yeah, look, I think I am gonna end the stream there today. I need to go and have a coffee and maybe a bite to eat. It's coming up at 5:45 p.m. on a very wet and windy Sydney day. So I'm going to go chill out for the rest of the afternoon, I think. But thank you so much for jumping on with me, Millie. It's been great to meet you. As I said, I'll try and do some more of these streams at some point. But yeah, I'll make sure to post the streams to the channel that you can watch later as well. So if you do miss them because you're on German time, then don't worry. I'll post them to the channel so everyone's able to catch up and come and see what we've been working on. But yeah, no, thank you so much, and I look forward to chatting to you soon.